Positive energy all the time. I cannot believe I even have to do this live stream in 2025. It is totally ridiculous. What is going on with the educational system? What is going on with people's ability to do research? Why is information put out there that's easily disproven, that doesn't make any sense? I don't know. I don't know, but we're going to talk about it. There's people actually trying to say that Michelle Obama is a man, was a man, which is the most craziest nonsense. It's really amazing. And these are supposed to be intelligent people, which the need to just bash somebody or just to put out information, to have that overrule common sense, is just totally ridiculous. It's unbelievable that people would put their reputation online. Now, a lot of them use fake accounts, so they just trolling. But there's people with their real accounts as real people saying things that is obviously can be proven to be wrong. It's impossible for Michelle Obama to be a male. That is absolutely, totally impossible. Unbelievable. But I'm going to break it down for people because that is the most foolishness. I guess the need to hate black people, maybe for some people, or just totally maybe lack of any type of intelligence or any type of analytical skills, possibly. It's totally crazy. It's totally, for anybody to even halfway believe that, something is totally wrong with them. They have like no type of like basic intelligence. You know how crazy you got to be to say Michelle Obama is a boy, is a man. You got to be crazy. I've seen 607 Onk said that. I unsubscribed to the channel he's on. Every time he pops up on any channel, unless they always got really good information, I'm unsubscribing because, come on, you let that man totally disrespect your channel and make your channel look like idiots. Like, seriously. You just disrespecting like American history and everything. You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. You have to be crazy to say Michelle Obama is a man and this is her as a little girl. And they did not have any type of sex changes. Unbelievable. She's born in 1964. Nothing like that existed. Nothing like that existed. You had cross dressers, but nothing like that existed in 1964. Joan Rivers is a nut. Come on, she makes herself look totally unintelligent. It's just unbelievable, especially in the day where we got so much internet information. We've got so much information these days that this is just ridiculous. But for the sake of historical purposes, I will deal with this. I got a friend, he's a white friend. He's also almost like a family member to me, but we was talking on the phone one day and he said that Michelle is a man. I blocked him. I don't consider us friends anymore. I don't consider us friends anymore because first off, he knows I'm black. Black people, we don't have any politicians at that level for president. And when you see a person that want to disrespect a great accomplishment like that, get rid of them, including a black person. When you see a black person that takes pride in disrespecting a black historical figure like Barack Obama, which is the only one you only got one. And when you see a black person willing to attack that one and to do it in front of people from all over the world, get rid of them. Let anybody come over here tonight with that, you're blocked. You got to go because you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. You're a hateful person. You want to take away we got one black president. That's it. And one black first family and one black first lady. Plenty of white ones. And you choose to disrespect that one accomplishment, to look down on that one great political accomplishment. You don't deserve like any respect. You're a disgrace. Now I could see racists doing that because they gonna do stuff like that. I could see racists doing that, but I can't see no black person being, like you got to have 3, 4, 5 before you start saying, well, this one was good, was this one, but just one, like Jackie Robinson makes it to baseball, and you start criticizing Jackie Robinson like the only black person in Major League Baseball, and you go out your way to try to trash him, something's wrong with you. Because he doesn't have enough numbers to even start to deal with him. Like, let's take white presidents. All the presidents have been white. So now it's fair game to say, oh, this one wasn't that, or this one wasn't that, because you're not going to say every white president wasn't no good. So the ones you don't like, it's not going to destroy the legacy of white European presidents. It's just going to be based on each president. But when you only got one, and that one black president represents the racism, the fact you only got one, because you have to ask yourself, why all these years is there only one? Because of discrimination. So for you to overlook that discrimination and to start trying to pick at the first black family, something's wrong with you. If you're a black person and I was around you and you did that, I would never go back around you because you display of lack of loyalty to your own people, and you display an extreme amount of hate. You drink haterade, like you got an extreme amount of hate. You have no compassion. You have no decency to say, hey, let me just leave the brother and the sister alone. They just the only ones. No, you go and attack the only ones that really did a really good job carrying themselves dignified, carrying themselves with respect, and you start looking for stupid stuff to try to say what Obama didn't do, like you so slow that you don't understand how much he probably was blocked. So how can I respect you as a black man when you get the first black president and you saying what he could do and what he didn't do, knowing that he was surrounded by a lot of racist senators and governors? At that point, you're not that intelligent. I can't take you serious, like you're not intelligent. You're not even factoring in racism. You know what I'm saying? So you're not that intelligent. I would just never talk to you. That's why I don't like Tavis Smiley, and I don't like the other guy with the hair, Doctor, whatever his name is. I don't like them two. Because out of all the people, why y'all jumped on the brother like that as soon as he won? The weirdo with the hair. I don't like either one of them. They're a disgrace. Totally. It's totally a disgrace, like totally. But we're going to get with this situation where these people are trying, where Michelle Obama was talking, and she's talking to a man, and she says, as a man, blah, 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 blah. And they trying to say, right, when she say as a man, right, that she's referring to herself as a man. You know what I'm saying? So when she says as a man, okay. So if I'm talking to a woman and we discuss something and I say to the woman, as a woman, am I saying me as a woman? What? What? Seriously. And so anybody comes over here even want to get on that, I'm blocking you. No, she says, as a man, if she's interviewing me, she'll say, as a man, what do you think about blah, 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 blah? I mean, this is common sense. G-Rock, how in the hell is she going to be a man if she was born in 1964? They wasn't doing no type of sexual changes or nothing like that. Kris Jenner got changed in 2017. This lady's born in 1964. There was nothing like that in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. There was nothing like that. That didn't even exist. And you think we're dealing with intelligent people. You're supposed to know the history of the country. That never, ever, ever, ever existed. What do you mean if he would know? Let me show you something, G-Rock. Y'all, let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all how totally ridiculous this is. Watch this. Are you all ready to really see something? We talking practical reality, okay? We're not talking, you know, let's talk practical reality, okay? Let me show you something. Let's talk reality, okay? Like, let's talk common sense, okay? Reality. Let's talk common sense reality. That really, it's unbelievable. Uh it's just unbelievable that that could even be any kind of way. uh it's just unbelievable how people get into these mentalities and then don't even think about the realities of life, of real life. Like there's realities of real life. How do you forget about real life? Listen, y'all. I was born in 1958. Michelle was born 6 years after me. When you go to public schools in Chicago, guess what you got to do? This is me in kindergarten. You take school pictures every year. Every year, you take school pictures. Every year. If you go to Chicago Public School, every year, you take school pictures. So let me ask you something. Is there any kind of way I could have been a girl in the 60s and now be a man? Is that possible? Is it possible at all that I could have been a girl and now be a man if I was raised in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s? Is that possible? Let's just start. Is that possible? Is that at all possible? This is me in kindergarten. The second child from the left is me. Okay. The second child from the left is me. Everybody in the city of Chicago takes school pictures. All of these children know me, right? So if you saying I was a girl, that I used to be a girl, all these children know that's nonsense, okay? All right. So Lovey's asking me about, did I see her pictures? You mean her school pictures? Is that what you mean? She's the second row, the second little girl from your right. Is that what you mean? Okay, yeah. Well, let me get you out of here. Yeah. Bye. She don't want to learn. I'm not wasting time. She don't want to learn nothing, right? If somebody don't want to learn, get them out of here, right? And so I'm not going to talk. I blocked her. Period. Once you're on that, I don't even want you over here because you don't serve any purpose. You're obviously negative. You serve no purpose for my channel. Go watch somebody else because yeah, there's her picture with her mother. See what I'm saying? There she is with her mother. She was born in O Block. People in Chicago know her. I'm 67 years old. She's 6 years younger than me. Who believes that people in Chicago don't know her? Let me ask y'all a question. Do any of y'all believe that she grew up in Chicago and she's 51 years old and nobody in Chicago don't know her? Who believes that? Who believes that none of her childhood friends in Chicago are here? Who believes that? And she went to a public school. Who believes she's like a mystery? Does anybody believe that she can go to public school, born in O Block, and go to public schools in Chicago and be a mystery? Let me just see if anybody believes that. Does anybody believe she could just like be a mysterious person in America, in a major city, where you take school pictures every year through high school? Who believes that? Who believes she could just pop up a woman? Who believes, this is what great, who believes she could be born in Chicago, a boy, and just pops up a woman? Who actually believes that is even possible? Can I be a woman right now in Chicago? Could I have been born a boy in 1958 and be a woman now in Chicago and tell everybody that I'm a woman? Who believes I could do that? Does anybody believe I could do that? Does anybody believe I can do that? Does anybody believe that this little boy, the second at the top from the right, could be a girl now and be in Chicago and say I'm a girl when I got school pictures from kindergarten? This is me in kindergarten right here. This is me in kindergarten. I got school pictures from kindergarten to, I got pictures from kindergarten to a senior. I got neighbors all over up and down the block. I rode my bike with people. People know me, right? Does anybody believe that now I could be a girl born in 1958 or 1964 before sex changes? That's another thing. Like, who born in 1964 could get a sex change? Does anybody believe there were sex changes? This is crazy. In 1964. Does anybody believe that? We had the science for her to change her sex in the 60s and in the 70s. Somebody really believes that? When sex changes was like 2017, like anybody believes seriously that she could be a boy and nobody would know it, and then she could be a girl and everybody says she's a woman all these years, but the whole time been a boy? Does anybody believe that, like, seriously? Because if you believe that, there's something wrong. Like, you're not that intelligent. You can't be that intelligent. You don't know anything about history. You obviously don't know anything about the 60s. You obviously don't know nothing about the 70s because there was no sex changes in the 60s and in the early 70s. You obviously don't do no research because the little girl's got pictures everywhere, okay? She's got pictures her whole life, okay? Okay, she's got pictures. She's got pictures. She's got school pictures. Who believes that back then this could have been a boy? Does anybody believe that this little girl in this thing could be a boy? Michelle Robinson. Who believes that Michelle Robinson could be Michael Robinson back in the 60s and the 70s and turn to Michelle? Does anybody believe that she could turn to a woman in the 60s and the early 70s? Does anybody, because we have people on social media that don't have no historical, they don't know anything about history. So they just say stuff. They're saying stuff that's historically impossible. It's impossible. You're taking sex changes from 2000 and something and try to apply that back to the 1960s or the 1970s, trying to say somebody did something that they didn't start doing until the 2000s. Like there was none of that. There was no transgender. That didn't exist. All you had was cross dressers. So how do you get to the point where you do conspiracies, but you stupid and you don't know nothing historically? And how do you get to the point where somebody else stupid tells you something and you so stupid you just believe it because you don't know how to do no research? They didn't do nothing because it's stupid. It's not nothing to even debate. I'm just doing it for my audience just so you don't even get wrapped up in that. It's a ridiculous conversation. It's not a conversation we should even engage in. The people that say that, just let them say it and just ignore that. Why would I debate somebody with that when you're obviously either just making shit up or stupid? I'm not finna argue with you over something that's not going nowhere. She's never going to be considered a boy, ever. Not with all those pictures at public school. That's never going nowhere. That conspiracy is going nowhere. Nobody's going to ever believe that with any kind of sense. You're not going to be able to change somebody's sex that was born way back when I was born and she was born, when none of that existed. It's only old because black folks is feeding into it instead of ignoring it. Donna Summers was born in 1958. Okay. And the problem with Donna Summers is She ain't got no child pictures, so that's why that was able to live, because she has no child pictures. She has pictures of her child, but she has no pictures as a child, nowhere on the internet. So that's why that. Yeah, she has no she has no children's pictures. So that's, I'm not gonna go there. I could one day. I'm gonna go there, but that's a different story. Why would he? Why would he speak on this? You're the president of the United States. You don't address stuff like that. you're too dignified. You don't address things like that. I'm addressing it, but he would never address that. Him and Michelle would never address that. Why would they address that? Why would they address that? They would be just like me. If you believe that, they would find it funny. They sit around with their friends they grow up with. Girl, they trying to talk about I was a boy. Girl, you wasn't no boy. You could jump that jump rope. I remember you was jumping double dutch. So, like, if you say something about me that's not true and say I was born as a girl and I'm in Chicago with all my childhood friends, we ain't finna address that. We finna be cracking up. They're gonna be like, these people crazy. Nobody's going to address nothing that stupid. I'm just only doing it for my subscribers. I'm not doing it to try to speak up for her. I'm trying to give my subscribers historical knowledge about school pictures, basically. So I'm teaching my subscribers about what it was like in the 50s and the 60s. You took pictures every year at school. You cannot be nobody else but who you are. It's impossible. Now, Donna Summers, that's a whole nother story, because there's really no proof she's from the United States and all of that. She has no records as a child that I have seen. So that's a whole nother story. And she became popular at the time of sex changes, because the early sex changes was around the mid 70s in Germany. So the whole transgender movement, right, was the 70s. And the first ones it was done in the United States. That procedure was done in Germany. Germany is where they figured out how to do that. If so, you know, the transgender procedure was a German doctor slash scientist that created that. That was the first one able to do that. And people used to fly to Germany to get that procedure, like how women fly down to the DR to get a BBL. Right. They would fly to Germany to get that. That don't come from the United States. So she could be from a black from the European. She could be from Europe. She don't not necessarily even a black American. Don't nobody really know who she is. That's a whole nother story. She don't got, you ain't gonna find no pictures like this of her or it or whatever it is. There's no picture of her with her mother. You know what I'm saying? Right? So there's no pictures of her with her mother. Now, she was born at O Block. O Block was Parkway Gardens, and Parkway Gardens was really nice. See, Parkway Gardens was really nice. It was built on the site where they used to have the Chicago Fair. There was races where blacks couldn't go. And then eventually they closed it, and then they built Parkway Gardens, and it was called Parkway Gardens Garden. So it was really beautiful. So a lot of my friends' grandmothers lived there, right? So it was really apartment buildings. It wasn't Chicago housing. Parkway Gardens was beautiful, but it wasn't under the city of Chicago. It was private. And then after so many years, then Chicago Public Housing took it over. And then that's when they moved in the people that was on welfare. And that's when it became like a welfare place. But originally, Parkway Gardens was beautiful and it was for hardworking people. So when Michelle and them lived there, they lived there when it was for hardworking people. That's when they lived there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't know about that. So when her and her dad and mother lived there, that's when it was hardworking people living there when they lived there. Because she's only 6 years younger than me. We didn't have transgenders. There was no such thing as transgenders. When she was born in 1964, Donna Summers didn't come out for like 12 years later. There was nothing like that. There was no transgenders in her childhood. And she had too many pictures and stuff before they start doing the transgender thing. And then she wouldn't have been able to fly to Germany, being no girl raised up in Chicago. She wouldn't have been able to fly to Germany. She wouldn't have been old enough. She wouldn't have been old enough to get no surgeries and all this stuff. That's all like just make believe stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's stuff they made up. So I just wanted to come and break down the facts to my audience so that my audience would be a lot more intelligent. You understand? And can see there's her pictures with her mother. There's pictures of her, right? Probably in kindergarten. There's pictures of her as a little girl. There's pictures of her as a little girl. There is pictures of her as a little girl. There is pictures of her as a little girl. There is a picture for her as a bigger girl. There is pictures of her in high school. What are we doing? When she took these pictures, it was impossible for her to be a boy. Okay? That type of thing didn't exist. We didn't have no kids posing to be a different sex. Okay? This says 1964 when she was born. We didn't have none of that. There was no way you could have been a little boy or a little girl and been something different until well into the 2000s. If you was an adult, you could have got a change because you could have flew to Germany. But there's no American young person that could have got a sex change, okay? They wouldn't have been able to get a sex change until that started happening in America. And that didn't start happening till 2016, 2017. There was no sex changes in America, okay? That's all fake. And in 2016, 2017 in America, if you got a sex change, everybody would know it. You see, everybody know what Bruce Jenner is because everybody knew who he was, and then he changed. He can't just be no mystery and turn to no woman because everybody know who he was already. So that would have been impossible for Bruce Jenner to sneak and become a woman. This is impossible. It's impossible. You know what I'm saying? It's totally impossible. You know what I'm saying? It's totally impossible. Right? Totally. It's totally impossible. Couldn't happen. Right? People said that he called her Michael. People say stuff like that all the time. I'm talking to Michael all day. I'm speaking, I'm talking, and I accidentally say Michael instead of Michelle. I do that all the time. I do that quite often. Say the wrong word because I'm thinking about something else when I'm talking about something else. That's ridiculous. There's no proof of no Michael that Michelle was ever no Michael. Okay, there's impossible for her to be Michael in 1964 and now be Michelle. That is impossible. It is impossible for her to be in Chicago and go to Chicago public schools and have been a boy and now be a girl. That is impossible. That's impossible in 1964. Impossible. With a capital M. The only way she could have got a sex change, by then she would have been an adult. She wouldn't have been able to get a sex change till like 2015. 64, 74, 84, 94, 2004. She would have been 50 years old before a sex change would even be available for her to do it. There was no sex changes until she was like 50. There was no sex changes in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in the United States of America. And the only way she would have been able to get one, she would have had to fly to Germany as a child. And her family had no money to fly to Germany. And then when she would have came back, everybody would have known because everybody went to school with her. There's no mysterious people in the United States. If I show you a picture of my child, my son, everybody at Simeon, everybody at Dulles that went to school with him know him. We don't have mystery people. There's no mystery people. In major cities in America, everybody is accounted for. You can't just be somebody else. That's impossible. There's no person that could show you how that can happen. All they could do is say a conspiracy. If you say, okay, explain to me how that would happen. They can't. If I said, explain to me how Michelle was a boy and explain to me on the process of her turning into a girl, you wouldn't be able to do it. It's impossible. So she can just pop back up or be a boy and pop back up a girl, and everybody she grew up with ain't saying nothing. So y'all believe I could have went and turned to a girl and come back, and all the people that know me in Chicago, I could just pull that off. It's so stupid. Who believes I could pull that off? You believe somebody could get a sex change back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and pull it off? when he got it in 2017 and he couldn't even hide it and pull it off? So Bruce Jenner could have just disappeared and came back as a different Jenner. Who believes that? Does anybody believe that? Like, seriously, like, do you believe that's, like, anybody believes that's really possible? When you start listening to a conspiracy without walking it through to see if it's even possible, you're slow. I wouldn't debate nobody over that. If you wanted to debate me over that and you actually believe that, there's no way I would debate you. I'll just look at you like, dude, I'm not debating no dummy. You dumb as hell. You're not, listen, once you believe that Michelle Obama used to be a boy, you're not intelligent. You lack social intelligence and basic intelligence. You have no intelligence. You'd make a horrible detective. Like, you have no intelligence. You have no sense of history. You have no sense of the Board of Education. You have no sense of nothing. People that are saying that are just trolling or they really stupid. Because people will believe anything nowadays. All you gotta do is put it out there. But the people that believe it is a small number. So, like conspiracy nuts, that's different. They'll grab a conspiracy and you can show them all of these pictures and they'll still some type of way try to stick with the conspiracy. Even though you show them evidence, they won't accept the evidence.